welcome back to the Spydahs Web. It's Q&A time again, and we have quite a few questions today, so much so they're on 2 sheets of paper. So, let's get cracking with them, shall we? Question number 1 comes from Crasher303. This is the one I missed that I should have really done last week, but it was asked in my messages on Board Game Geek, and I don't really use that very often. So that's why I missed it. But the question is, if you are just starting out painting, what brushes, colours, shades, ink washes of paint would you recommend to a budding fantasy zombie painter to stock in his palette? Right, brushes. Start off first. As good a quality brush as you can afford. At the moment I'm using the Army Painter set. They seem to be really good brushes, so I'd recommend those. Ideally you want something sable. Citadel's new brushes are sable by all accounts, and there's a company called Rosemary & Co, I think it is. They do a good selection of small brushes, so I'd check those out as well. I'll put the link in the description below for that one. But you can get some good quality brushes by all accounts from them. I've never used them, but I have been told by people at the art club who have used them that they are really good brushes, so might be worth a try. As for colours, shades and ink washes, this is a good question. It depends on what kind of thing you're looking for. For flesh tones, I mean, I usually go with Citadel, as you know. So with flesh tones, you're talking something like rotting flesh. Oh dear Lord, what was it? Pale browns, very muted greens, that kind of thing for the flesh tones. You can mix them both together and make up all sorts of different colours, or just use like a null oil wash over a white base coat primer or whatever, and that will give you like a greyish skin tone. That's the kind of thing really you're looking for flesh tones. For clothing, whatever colours you want, depending on whether, when you say it's fantasy, so usually it's very kind of like bright colours kind of thing, isn't it? So when I say bright colours, I don't really mean really vivid and in your face. I'm just meaning like they are coloured rather than the browns, greys and blues that we get nowadays. So what we're looking at, we could use various kind of blues, reds. I would get something like Screaming Skull, like a very pale cream colour, for use to change the tone of the colour slightly for highlighting, because I don't like using white because it can change the colour too much, so it'll turn a red into a pink rather than a paler red, whereas the creamy colour from the Screaming Skull would do. Oh dear, would just basically lighten the colour and not change the colour too much. Washes, again, it depends on what colours you're using. As long as you get a firm mixture of colours, you should be okay. So you want muted browns, reddish browns, that kind of thing. Muted greens as well. You don't want anything vivid for skin tone with zombie. You want it looking hideous, put it that way. So very pale greens, very muted browns, greys even, as I said. So as for clothing, obviously depends on what kind of look you're going for, but I suppose anything can do. I usually go with things like purples, blues, greens, occasionally reddy brown colours, that kind of thing. It depends on what your own tastes are as well, so I can only recommend it really from my point of view and my taste, which is what I've just done. So as I said, going over a white base coat, a non-oil wash will give it that old dead flesh kind of look. Rotting flesh, you're looking towards a more greenish colour, and like a freshly done zombie, like a very muted pale brown. So you could either, for one extreme, you could go with the black wash over a white, and if you want a more fresh coloured zombie, you'd be looking towards a brown wash over the white. So Agrax Earth shade, Reichland flesh shade, going over just a plain white base coat would give a fairly freshly made zombie look. But let's say for puted rotting flesh, you want a more greenish tint to it. So is it Nurgling flesh or something, Nurgle rot or something like that? A very palish green colour. But anything like that would do for flesh. And as I said, depending on what taste you have for clothing, reds, blues, more vivid reddy browns, that kind of thing for the clothing. I hope that answers your question. I can't think of anything else really I can say about that. But as I say, I hope it answers your question. Next we have an email. Now there's a PS to this. I don't mind you using my name. So it's I know I always say that if you're sending me an email, I'll not use your name, but it's put on, he does mind me using his name. So this is from Carl Mitchell, and it says, "Hi Steve, love the channel. I'm a big fan of Tolkien's work, especially Lord of the Rings. I have many board and card games based on the subjects, and I'm currently painting my Hobbit militia, which is 40 lead models I use in my Warhammer battles. I am using many tips from your various painting methods, so thank you so much for that. Anyway, I was wondering if you are a fan of Tolkien, and do you have any of these games? I was thinking mainly of the Lord of the Rings living card game. I would love to see you do a playthrough of this game. Kind regards, Carl." I'm 47 now. When I was 15, I first watched the animated version of Lord of the Rings. Shortly after that, I bought the books, and then I bought the radio play on cassette, and then I bought the Hobbit book, read that, then I bought the Hobbit radio play on cassette, and then I reread the Lord of the Rings, and I think I've worn 4 copies of Lord of the Rings out since I was, as I say, 15. I currently in the bedroom have 2 of the 1-volume hardbacked illustrated editions of Lord of the Rings. One I will never open to read, it's just a display piece. The other one I will open and have a look through. I've got a paperback version of it as well, and I have it also on my Kindle, along with a lot of the other Tolkien books which I've not got around to reading yet. Yes, I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings, I'm a fan of The Hobbit. I absolutely adore the stories. Not so much the movies as Lord of the Rings. They're good adventure movies, but to me they aren't Lord of the Rings enough. As for games, I have got the living card game, and I've got the first set of the expansion packs, Journey to Roscoble and all them. I can't think of what it was called, that first story. I just cannot get to the hang of it. I've tried a few times to sit down and learn how to play it. It's just not sinking in. The problem is when it starts going well, I'm thinking I've missed something, and I'm trying to work out where, so I'm always second guessing myself. I really need to sit down with somebody who knows how to play the game and go that far. I mean, I've watched people on YouTube play it, and I come and sit down to play it myself, and it's like a door at the side of my head opens and my brain decides to go for a walkabout. As soon as it gets in front of me, my brain just shuts off, and I've not a clue what to do with the stuff. It's just not sinking in. So, like you, I would love to see me do a gameplay video of the living card game. I've also got the Lord of the Rings board game, which has the track and the track where Sauron starts at one side and the Hobbit starts at the other, and working the way through. Not the Hobbits, but you know what I mean. It's got 5. Is it 5 or 6 players in it? I can't remember. I've got that one. What else have I got? I've got the Hobbit. It's a little card game of the Hobbit I've got. And I've got a Lord of the Rings chess set. I've got a Lord of the Rings Risk. I have over my computer 2 pictures. You might just be able to see them. There's one and that's the other. You might just be able to see them in the distance there. They were bought for me. One is from Return of the King and the other is Two Towers. And it's little pictures and strips of the film, and it's numbered and certified and that kind of thing. Yeah, so I do like Lord of the Rings a great deal. In fact, I used to be an administrator in one of the MSN groups for Lord of the Rings. It's where I first started talking to my friend Karina, who lives in Greece, and I've mentioned her a few times in this, and she's put a few questions in there. I will be seeing her on Friday, hopefully, so I might take my video camera down and try and do an interview. There won't be. I know I'm digressing here, but it's just while I'm on the subject of Lord of the Rings and that, it's just dragged me over to this side. I will be doing the Q&A on the Thursday evening, probably, and uploading it overnight on the Friday, because I'm going down to visit Karina while she's over here, so I won't be around on Friday to do so. So the Q&A will be going out a little bit earlier than usual. Anyway, back to Lord of the Rings. Yes, I used to have the Games Workshop Lord of the Rings, but I got rid. It was one of those games that I knew I wouldn't play, so I decided not to continue collecting. Plus, it was just sort of like from the movies, rather than I prefer things like that in my own head rather than seeing movie versions and whatever. But yeah, I've got all the videos. I've got all the DVDs. I've also got the standard theatrical version. I've got the extended versions with the little statue things. What else have I got? Have I got anything else on Lord of the Rings? I can't remember. But yeah, I've got quite a few things on Lord of the Rings, because I was at one time incredibly obsessed with it. So yes, I really do want, back to this, I really do want to get to grips with the living card game, but every time I open it up, try it out, it just doesn't work for me. So yeah, I really need somebody to help me on that one. Anyway, I hope that's answered your question eventually. Next, Idic Beer. Lol to my question. I'm hoping that was from last week's. You talked about all the Kickstarters you're backing. How do you find the time to do so many different games, and how often do you play them, and who do you play with? Well, I don't know how I find the time to do so many different games. I think the problem is I'm just a collector and a hoarder. Because there's some games I've got that I thought seemed like a good idea at the time, and I haven't played, or played once and that's it, just put on my shelf and put away. Not so much put away, more like forgot about. So yeah, I really don't know how I find time to do so many different games. I think as well it's because I'm doing this, I'm bringing more games into it and wanting to try new things, pushing myself a little bit, but yeah, I have not a clue how I find the time to do so many. How often do you play them? It depends on the game. Some games I'll play them a few times a year. Others I can play over and over and over again. And who do I play with? Well, I'll go to the games club on a Friday evening. I'll play some there. We have the games nights. Games night videos, so Scragger, Dean and Nita come round and a few other people come round, and you know, I play with a few different people, so yeah. It's usually, I think it's Steve, Anita, Scragger, Ben, Scragger's son, and some of his mates as well, and depending on who else is free and what we're playing at the games club. And then every now and again Damien and Leo come round and my daughter will come round and we'll have a few very simple games. So there we are, that's who I play games with. Hope that's answered your question. Next, Likin of the Underworld. We have two questions. Did you know that Prelude Games are bringing out a new version of Space Crusade? No, I didn't, but I will be having a look. Thanks for that information. I will have a look. That was question 1. Question 2. I got into playing board games when I got a copy of Hero Quest when it was first released. What started you off into the hobby? Space Crusade. I got Space Crusade, then I got Hero Quest. I preferred Space Crusade to Hero Quest. I know a similar question had been asked in one of my earlier videos. What game was it that I basically say that turned me into a gamer? It wasn't Space Crusade. That's what got me into playing games as such, but it was only really that game, so I wouldn't really say that was a game that turned me into a gamer. But yeah, it was the one that started me off really, which was Space Crusade, and then Hero Quest, and then I got what was it called now? There's a series of games. I think there's about 2 or 3 different expansions to it, like a good 3D pieces on. Oh, I can't remember what it was called. One was called Village of Fear. Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. Can't remember what it was called, but one of the expansions was called Village of Fear, and you had some buildings made up and you go around that, and then you go onto another board and go around that, and then you end up on a massive board which had a great big stone stairway, and what the hell was it called? I can't remember. If anybody remembers what it's called, let me know, but I'll probably have a look for it anyway and pop it down in the little message here with the title of it. I can't for the life of me. After that it was Talisman 3rd edition. So there we are. Next, Gilles de Ray. I hope that's how it's pronounced. Thanks for mentioning Cthulhu, the deck building game. I missed that one. We'll have a look at it later. Which leads me to my question. What is your favourite Lovecraftian game? Mine is Arkham Horror, but Eldritch may replace it at some time, depending on future expansions. Strangely enough, I don't have all that many Lovecraftian themed games. Elder Sign, the obligatory Cthulhu expansion for Smash Up, Cthulhu Flux, and Cthulhu Dice are the only ones I've got. I've played... Oh sorry, I've also got Mansions of Madness, which I've only played once, but I've not finished painting them, so I'll not be playing mine yet. I've played Arkham Horror once, and I've played Eldritch Horror twice. I'm not... From what I remember of both of them, I preferred Arkham Horror to Eldritch Horror. But I think my favourites has to be Elder Sign. I think that's an absolutely cracking game. Yeah, Elder Sign will be my my favourite so far. That is until Pandemic, the Cthulhu edition, comes out. Then that will probably wipe the floor with Elder Sign. At least that's what I'm hoping anyway. If it's as pandemic-y as Pandemic is, then you know what I mean. I'm going to love that game. So yeah, up to now, Elder Sign is my favourite Cthulhu-based game. But if I could play Arkham Horror a lot more, that would probably be the one that would I would say would be my favourite. But as I say, I've only played it once and it was a long time ago, so I can't really remember much about it. But there we are. Next question, tattoo for you. Now this first bit is regards the fact that last week I hadn't shaved for a while, and he says, "Hey, nice beard, brother. Glad you're feeling better." Well, it came off during the week, but again, I'm got the lazy head on and not shaved. But anyway, does any painting technique or something like that make you nervous to try it? I hope that makes sense. It does make sense. The only one that makes me nervous to try is the non-metallic metal. I can't get to grips with that at all. I've tried it a few times and failed miserably, so I just don't bother. I've tried it on swords, trying to get the different gradients looking, but I can't do it. It looks stupid when I do it, so I don't bother. Also eyes, don't like doing eyes, but apart from that, I don't think so. I don't think there's anything that makes me nervous that I wouldn't try it, or makes me nervous to try. I can't say that when I start doing a model that I don't get nervous, because I think without that you're not going to try and do your best, especially on camera. When I'm off camera, I'll just get on with it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But when I'm doing something on camera, I start getting a little bit nervous of messing up. And if you've seen the way I do other things, then you'll know full well I'm good at messing up. But it's not so much techniques, it's just being on camera that makes me a bit nervous when I'm starting to paint a model. But I think the only technique really is non-metallic metal. So I hope that's that question answered. Next, Rob Herding says, "Hi Spider, glad you're feeling better. On the subject of Kickstarter, have you seen the new Walking Dead game from Mantic yet? Are you backing it? Lots of zombies to paint." Well, I did actually mention this a couple of weeks ago on my Chat Brewing a Big Black Dog episode, on the day that the Kickstarter had started. I've not seen Walking Dead, I've not read any of the comics yet. I did have a conversation with somebody in regards to the comics versus the TV series. I think it was Tattoo for You, who I was on a conversation with in the comment section. It was recommended I get the comics and have a read because they're really good. So obviously, yes, I was aware of it. No, I'm not backing it because, as I say, I don't watch the TV series and I haven't read the comics, so it's not something that I have any affinity with at all, or any kind of like fandom reason to go for it. So as yet, no, I'm not backing it. But there again, saying that, I've added another Kickstarter thing to my collection at the moment, which is the Sentinels of the Multiverse, the new one from them, Oblivion, and this is going to be the final thing for Sentinels of the Multiverse, and they're throwing everything they can, I think, at it. It's where all the bad guys become good, in a common goal to defeat a big alien nasty that's come down. But have a look for that one again. I'll put the link in the description box below. But it does look fun. Well, Sentinels of the Multiverse, of course, it's fun. So anyway, I hope I've answered that question. Mini Warzone, great Q&A, sir. My question this time: do you prefer shorter or longer games? I prefer games. I'm not bothered whether it's short or long, as long as I can understand what I'm doing, and as long as I'm enjoying it, I couldn't care less. The problem though with the longer games, if it goes on for too long, my attention starts drifting, which is one of the reasons I don't like Warhammer 40k. But I'm not really, as I say, I don't really have any preferences to length of game. I can play short games, I can play long games, it doesn't matter. As I say, as long as it's not too long, if you know what I mean. I think the longest game I've ever had was about 4 hours of Talisman, something like that. It was good, enjoyed it. But that game sort of does grab my attention, so I didn't. What's the word I'm looking for? I didn't feel as though it was going on for so long. The longest time I felt I was playing a game. Oh, what would that be? There's some games we played at the Games Club which just seemed to drag on and on and on because I wasn't enjoying them. And I can't remember what they were. There was one particular fella who comes in, he plays a lot of the Euro games, and he brought this one in, and it was cubes and it was islands, and you had to go out and do fishing and things like that. I had nightmares about fishing for a week afterwards. And I keep saying this every time he starts off about something, so yeah, that's the one that seemed to go on and on and on and on and on, but probably only lasted an hour, but I don't know. So there we are. Timoret TCG Madness, thanks for answering my question. I'll do my best to force me to improve in some way to get better and better. Advice: don't force yourself to do it. Never force yourself to do it, because you'll not do it if you try forcing yourself. Relax and just enjoy it. Let it come. Don't push it. And we're on about painting here. Just in case anybody's wondering, we're on about painting models here. Right, so I've got another one question. Of all the minis that you've painted, which one was the most complex? If you have it, can you show us and tell us why? Bear with me. I think, what was it? It's one of the Tomb Kings ones, and if you look, you'll see very tiny little triangles. That is the reason why I think it's the one that I found the most complex to paint, because of all the little triangles that are in there. And it's not just and I mean they are tiny. So I think that would be it for that reason. God, that's dusty. Hadn't realised that when I picked it up. mind you, it's been on top of my display cabinet for God knows how long, so yeah. And my dust holes often use them as the empowered dust for Kings of War. So yeah, I think it will be that one. It's not a Necro Sphinx. I think it's, I can't remember what it's called. The kit makes two models. One's the Necro Sphinx, and I can't remember what. The Tomb Guardian. No. Don't know. I can't remember. Shows you how much notes I take. Yeah, so I think I could honestly say that that would be my most complex because of the very tiny markings on it. So there we are. Next question comes from G. Guinan. Great video as usual. Just wanted to ask, have you ever built your own terrain for your figures? Yes, I have. Next question is oh, I haven't got any to hand. I've got a few that I've started on and not finished down here, but there is one I did make. In fact, bear with me. I have found one, a piece that I made. It's a communication bunker. It was done using foam core, plastic card, bits and pieces of old kits, bits and pieces of the inside of what do you call it, video recorder and other bits, along with just pieces of metal rod and that kind of thing. It's a little bit dusty because it's been stuck in my cupboard for about 8 years. But yeah, that's one of the things I've done. I've also made hills and bits and pieces like that. I've not done any for years though, so yes, I can't say terrain making is something that I was ever very good at. So I used to make a lot with a friend of mine, and then she got a bit fed up with Warhammer, collecting the Warhammer stuff, and got rid of all her stuff, and I got fed up with it as well, so we stopped doing it. But yeah, we did make some things. I think one of the things I did start to make was a little sniper bunker on top of a hill, and I got so far and then realised I'd not put any way in, so I cut this little bit out so it looks as though you get in through there and up through ladders inside. So it's not finished, it's not painted, I just lost interest. There we are. But yeah, sorry. But yeah, I have done terrain pieces, but not to any great extent. Hope that's answered your question. Finally, Neil Parrott. Great vid as always. Once you've finished painting a project, do you display it or do you pack it away? For example, when you've finished your Dungeon Saga, do you have a nice cabinet to show off your hard work? If so, could we see what you do? Right behind me, that's where I've got my small Nurgle force at the top, and then going down to the Salamanders, and then at the bottom we have a few of the Dark Angels that I started a few years ago and then gave up completely with Warhammer 40k. So if anybody wants some Dark Angels, if anybody's interested, let me know. Usually, if the ones that I'm using for games, then they just go back into the game box in a little bag. bear with me again. Right, the example was Dungeon Saga, so if I open up Dungeon Saga, all the villains and the minion pieces are in there. The only ones that are separate are the ones that are too big, like the trolls, or which are the trolls, and the hero characters are in that one, and they're waiting for the Ujits to come along, the legendary figures, and then they won't be in that one. So there we are, and they're all in the game box, because they're in the game box, I said, because they're going to be played and used as a game rather than as display pieces. If it was something that I was going to use as a display piece, they would go in the cabinet behind me. But I'm thinking of, I am getting rid of the Nurgle stuff that's on the top shelf. They're going to Martin McNeil's Wargames shop. I told him ages ago that I would give him those, and I've not managed to get down since, so I'll have to pack them up and get down there and pass them on. But as I say, usually for storage, what I'm painting is for games, so they go in the box and put on my shelves in my bedroom and brought out when I want to play. So there we are. Anyway, that's the final question that we had. I hope I've answered all the questions adequately. So again, our usual our usual treatment for the question sheets, and I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, if you want to ask any questions, simply if you want to ask any questions for next week, then pop them into the comment section below, or send me an email. If you send me an email, then I won't use your name, unless of course, like the chap who emailed me this week, you just say I'm not really bothered about you not mentioning my name. So because he put that on, I mentioned his name. If he hadn't put that on, I wouldn't have mentioned his name. So but yeah, if you don't want your name mentioned, email me. If you're not bothered about it, then either email me and put a note on saying that you're not bothered about me mentioning your name, or add it to the comment section below. That's all you need to do. So another Q&A hopefully will be next week, a little earlier, so get your questions in before Thursday if you can. Thursday afternoon at the very latest, because I will be doing the video on Thursday evening. So I won't be able to obviously answer the questions that have been posed before then. So until next time, as always, take care, God bless, and bye.